Да.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome our next speaker, Mr. Anton Gerashchenko, advisor to the Minister of Internal Affairs of Ukraine. The topic: investigation of terrorist crimes in Slavyansk, exhumation of a mass grave, and the identification of persons killed. Very brief information. There's information that at 1:30, after the meeting of the government, Arsenii Yatsenyuk will come to the press with information. Please follow the announcement at information government portal at 1:30.
Gerashchenko, advisor to the Minister of Internal Affairs of Ukraine, with the very interesting subject of the investigation of terrorist crime in Slavyansk and exhumation of a mass grave and the identification of persons killed. And also please be informed that at 1:30 Arsenii Yatsenyuk will speak to media. Just right, the governmental meeting is over. Please follow this information on the government portal. Thank you.
Здравствуйте, уважаемые представители украинского.
Good afternoon, esteemed representatives of Ukrainian and foreign mass media. I would like to tell you that after Slavyansk was liberated from terrorists, the Ministry of the Interior is doing a lot of work on finding the places of mass graves and the individual graves, the victims of terrorists, maybe the graves of where the terrorists are buried, so that we find all the victims and we define who's guilty in the fact that they are dead. The first grave that we started to exhumate was the mass grave in the center of Slavyansk, and we were doing it within the framework of the civil code. Here you see the center of the city, the stela, the monument to the unknown soldier, and down there, that's the place where 14 bodies of killed people were buried. We knew about that grave immediately after we came to Slavyansk because local citizens told us that in the daytime, in the middle of June, there was the burial organized. There was equipment there. The bodies of people killed were taken there. Also, according to the sources, we knew that in this grave there are the bodies of 4 representatives of Protestant Church. I would like request you to show the photographs of each one of them. These are 2 sons of the pastor of Protestant Church, Ruvim and Delbert. They were 24 and 30. They did not give birth to any children. The next photograph, this is Viktor Bradarsky, just one of the persons who was going to this church. He had 3 children, and Vladimir Velichka had 8 children, and they are all orphans now. On the 8th of June, during the service in the church, the terrorists came. They took these 4 guys with them, took their cars. Next night, they were shot dead just because you are guilty, just because they want to eat. And the bodies of 3 out of 4 were identified. They were buried in that grave. Another 11 bodies were given to expert analysis because we will have to do DNA analysis because the burial was made long ago. I also would like to inform you that we interrogated the person who was executing the functions of the burial team. He showed the places of burial of 52 bodies, but that's not all. Many bodies were buried wherever, whenever, and now we are doing work on identifying these people. From the beginning of the fighting in Donetsk, more than 300 people are declared disappeared. These were people who took weapons and went to fight for some values, no one knows which. As to the place of location of the grave that we exhumated, please show the obelisk again. We believe that Girkin, Strelkov, gave order to bury in the center of the city That is the only burial place which was done demonstratively. You know that Girkin loved reconstruct civil wars. He himself was acting as White Officer, and he probably wanted to turn this place into the place of with the monument of defenders of Novorossiya, but there will be the monument to the victims of terrorism of Putin. Most probably in this grave there are terrorists themselves. Their bodies were together with the bodies of the tortured victims. Even those terrorists who perished in Slaviansk, they are also the victims of terrorism of Putin, because he armed them, he sent them to Ukraine, he basically did all that, and the result is awful. In the result, many innocent people perished, no one knows for what. And also I would like to address mass media, foreign mass media also. We are ready to provide for the citizens of Russian Federation who know that their relatives went to so-called Novorossiya, and those who did not return. We are ready to organize for them the DNA analysis to find out whether these are their relatives who are buried near Slaviansk and then maybe other settlements of Ukraine. We believe it would be correct to give the chance to Russian citizens, to the relatives of who believing into the ideals of the false propaganda of Putin, so that who perished, so that their relatives could find their remnants. In Kharkiv, such expert analysis will be done in Kharkiv and Kramatorsk. We will give all the information on the website of the Ministry of Interior, and we offer the citizens of Russia to use this opportunity. Thank you. Any questions? No questions. Okay, one question. Ukrainian news. Could you please tell when exactly this grave was discovered and when you exhumated the bodies? The grave was discovered immediately after our troops came to Slaviansk. Local citizens told about that because everyone, well, there are some residential houses close. The burial was taking place on the 15th, 16th of June. Before that, these bodies of 4 persons from electricity, they were in refrigerator, but then the electricity was cut off, and after that Girkin gave order to do this massive burial in the center. Besides the members of the Protestant church that were buried there, do you have any information about who else? The militants or people who are shot by them. There could be some others. And there could be the bodies of militant citizens of Russia, whoever. And also 11 bodies are not identified now, because now they are in such a state that we need the DNA tests to be made. So we that is why I offer all the relatives who lost, all people who lost their relatives, to give their material for DNA tests. You mentioned that out of 4, 3 were identified and 1 hasn't been identified. Vladimir Velichka, most probably. There should be Vladimir Velichka among these 4. Another question.
I apologize. With my device. Would you please repeat the exact number of bodies that were found in this grave? Thank you.
14.
14 bodies. Any other questions? Thank you for this information. Thank you, colleagues. Our next briefing will start at 2 o'clock.